Hi, I'm Dr. Tabatha, the functional gynecologist. I'm a board-certified OBGYN and functional medicine physician. I've embraced the world of functional medicine and wellness through my own personal health journey, and I'm super excited to share my wisdom and unique perspective as it pertains to women's health. So if you're struggling with hormone imbalance, weight gain, period issues, anxiety, insomnia, you name it, then you've come to the right place. I want to be your functional gynecologist. So welcome. So I'm super excited about this episode today, ladies, because Dr. Kyrin Dunston is like my sister from another mister. As soon as I learned of her, she's a fellow functional gynecologist, I realized that we had been living parallel lives in so many regards. We were both overworked OBGYNs, super unhealthy, stressed out, living to serve others while sacrificing ourselves. And so I was super excited to connect with her and hear her story of how she turned her whole life around. She reclaimed her health and her life, and it doesn't look anything like it did 10 years ago. And that's pretty much what I did. And so many of you are thinking that you need to do that, but how to do that. So I think it's important to share our stories with each other because we get that inspiration and we might realize that we're stronger than we knew it and we can do this. We just need to support each other and learn from each other. So I hope that you'll stay for the whole episode because Dr. Kyrin is a wealth of knowledge. She really is. She's got so much insight and she's just a sweetheart. So I'm going to sing her praises real quick. So leading by example, OBGYN Dr. Kyrin Dunston has lost a life-changing 100 pounds naturally and healed herself from chronic disease by addressing the root causes of her overweight and dysfunction. This personal transformation in turn caused a professional one, and she left her traditional OBGYN practice in 2011 to pursue helping women heal with the revolutionary type of natural medicine after becoming fellowship trained in anti-aging, metabolic, and functional medicine. Dr. Kyrin's book, Cracking the Bikini Code: 6 Secrets to Permanent Weight Loss Success, brought her in-office natural weight and health restoration program to women everywhere. So you should check that out. The virtual boot camp program based on the book launched shortly after and offers hands-on guidance by Dr. Kyrin from remote locations so that women can use these tools to heal and move towards brilliant health. Dr. Kyrin has been featured in numerous podcasts, summits, and on NBC, Fox, Reader's Digest, The Huntington Post, First for Women magazine, and Best Self magazine. She's so awesome, you guys. She has her own podcast called Her Brilliant Health Radio, where she offers interviews with inspiring and insightful experts in functional medicine for women desiring to heal and achieve optimal health naturally. As the host of the Menopause Boss YouTube series, Dr. Dunston educates and inspires women to take control of their bodies and their lives and to thrive in menopause, not just survive. This is my kind of girl. So she guides women through the exact steps she uses with private clients in her Menopause Boss Jumpstart virtual coaching program so they can correct the 4 root causes of menopause breakdown and begin regaining energy, losing weight, and feeling like themselves again. So Dr. Dunston has been board certified in OBGYN for over 20 years. She's fellowship trained in anti-aging, metabolic, and functional medicine by the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. She received her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology at Bryn Mawr College. She received her doctorate in medicine from Jefferson Medical College in Philadelphia and completed her residency in OBGYN at the Medical Center of Delaware. She now resides in Georgia with her 2 dogs, Otis and Carly. I loved talking to Dr. Kyrin in this episode, and I know that you're going to enjoy the conversation. So stick around for the whole thing because you are going to learn so much about how to reclaim your own health, and you're going to get inspired to do so because she's a pretty awesome woman. So here we go. Well, welcome, Dr. Dunston. Thanks for being on the Functional Gynecologist podcast.
So happy to be here, Tabatha.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you because I feel like we've been kind of living parallel lives somewhat. You're down in Atlanta, I'm up in Michigan, but I think that just the track to becoming an OBGYN is such an unhealthy, devastating situation. I feel like it was one of the biggest hypocrisies I ever went through. You know, you're trying to make people well and tell them how to live healthy lives while meanwhile you're self-sacrificing and destroying yourself, right?
It's so true. And here we are telling our patients, get enough sleep and eat right and do all these things that we're not doing. And like I always tell my patients, I have to walk the walk and be authentic and integrity. Otherwise, I'm not doing what I'm telling you to do. And that is exactly hypocrisy. And that's not a way to lead people. You really have to do the work.
Yeah, exactly. So when I heard you tell your story for the first time, I just felt a connection to you because I lived the same way for so long. I was serving my patients. I was taking care of my family. I was doing all the right stuff, but I was falling asleep at my desk and staying up all night and eating garbage and never being mindful of anything I was doing. I was just in survival mode all of the time. And it got to the point where I had a back injury and I couldn't even function anymore. And so what was your turning point? I would love for you to share your story with everybody.
Sure. So yeah, that was my life too. It was up all night delivering babies and then doing surgery all day. And it really got to a point where all I did was work and sleep. And I had a husband and 2 kids and I ran my practice and I really was of no use to anyone or myself. And I weighed 243 pounds. I had chronic fatigue. I had fibromyalgia. So I had pain all over every day. I had anxiety and depression. My hair was falling out. I had no sex drive. And I looked and felt 20 years older than I was. And I really would wonder, I felt like a stranger in my own body. I felt like a stranger in my own life. And I kept wondering, when do I get time to really live and experience life? Because like you said, I was in survival mode. And then I knew something was wrong and I would run tests on myself and I'm thinking I got to have a thyroid problem. I'm tired and I'm overweight. But I would run the labs and they'd come back, quote unquote, normal.
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, no, the labs are normal. I'd say, well, there's gotta be something. And I'd run the labs again and they would come back normal. And I would go to my internist and I'd say, there's gotta be something wrong. And she would run labs and they'd all be normal. And I thought I was crazy. I really thought I was just crazy and I was doomed to a life of being obese and it had caused me to have back problems and just all kinds of issues. And that I was just doomed to continue to deteriorate and live an unsatisfied life. And then God bless one of my patients who was a middle-aged woman suffering with the same problems, and I was doing the typical treatments, symptom management. Here, take these birth control pills, this sleeping pill, this antidepressant, right? That's what we're taught to do as OBGYNs. And it wasn't helping her, of course. And then she went away. I didn't see her for a year. She came back and I saw her at the end of the hall and I was like, I immediately knew something was different. She looked so good. And so I ran up to her. I was like, what have you been doing? Because you look amazing. She had lost weight and just had a shine to her skin and her hair and pep in her step. And so she said, well, I discovered this thing called functional medicine. And I went and saw this functional medicine doctor, and she tested my hormone levels, and she did all these tests that I had never heard of.
Right.
And she used natural treatments, and I'm on bioidentical hormones. And I was, we all have a truth meter. My truth meter went off. So I started researching and reading and consuming everything I could about what is this functional medicine I never heard of.
Yeah.
And then I actually started working with a naturopath and did the right tests and read them the right way.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. And then, despite the fact that I had checked my thyroid 10 times and it was quote unquote normal, I had low thyroid. I hadn't been doing the right tests, and I had been reading them for quote unquote normal, which, we mainstream physicians are taught to do, and not optimal.
Yes.
I did not have optimal thyroid function. So that was the first thing I discovered. Well, then I discovered I also was progesterone deficient. We have no standard of care for checking female hormones in OBGYN. What?
Yeah.
Like, that's just insane. We're going to treat this specialized group of women, people called women, and we're not going to check jack about their hormones.
Right, because it doesn't matter, right? That's what.
Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then the party line is because there are no normal values.
Right.
BS. I call BS, right? We check everything. We check potassium, we check cholesterol, we check your blood pressure, we check everything. But we're just going to put on a mask and pretend that women don't have hormones and there are no normal values, which is a lie. And so I was progesterone deficient, and I had high inflammation, and those are the first things I found. And just finding those few things and addressing them, I started feeling better. And then I discovered, so I started with Life Extension Foundation conference, and I learned about food sensitivity testing. Oh, let me do that. Like, I'm sensitive to I had the worst food sensitivity I've ever seen. I was sensitive to everything I ate. Things I was eating that were healthy, like cauliflower and almonds, I was severely sensitive to. So then I got rid of those, and it was like someone popped a balloon, and then the weight just started coming off. My energy started coming back. I discovered functional stool testing. I did that. I had candida, dysbiosis, all kinds of things. And I addressed that. Then I started going to American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine and joined their fellowship program. So I did all the tests, heavy metals and toxicities and just everything, and started addressing these things one at a time. And after 2 years, I had lost 100 pounds. I had energy like when I was 20. My hair started growing again. I had no anxiety and depression, and I was like a new person.
It was wonderful. So amazing. Yeah. And I hope that gives people hope, because you truly can reclaim your health, right? I mean, we're just going about it the wrong way with conventional medicine. And I feel bad thinking back to all of the women I just gave birth control pills to, or just did a hysterectomy on. But once you know better, you do better, right? So I can't get this information out enough. Like, people need to hear there are ways. This is a lifestyle issue. We need to change how we're living. So you said you did the food sensitivity testing, and that was a huge game changer for you. Can you talk about that a little more?
Sure. So I had only known about food issues as an allergy, and that the allergists took care of that, and they would do skin testing to test you for foods and molds and grasses that you were sensitive or allergic to,
right.
And then they would treat you with shots, right? So that's all I knew. I had never heard of this concept of you could react to a food in any other way than a true allergy. So the food sensitivity, which a lot of people are not aware of as well, is the fact that your immune system has many different branches, just like our military has many different branches. We have the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, right? So your immune system is your military, and you've got different branches. And so the true allergy branch is the IgE branch. branch that they check with the injections. But you've got IgA, IgG, IgM, and you have cell-mediated immunity where you can react to foods without having an antibody response. And so when I did the food sensitivity test, it elucidated that I was allergic, or sensitive rather, that's how I differentiate, to about 40 different foods. And that meant that every time I ate them, my immune system was being activated, and it was causing inflammation and damage to my gut lining, which the gut is really the center of health, I learned. I thought it was just the thing the gastroenterologist took care of when I was an OBGYN, right? Like,
Yep.
Nothing's related. You have a mental health problem, you go to the psychiatrist. You have a gastroenterology problem, you go to the gastroenterologist. You have a skin problem, you go to the dermatologist. And what I learned in functional medicine is that everything is connected.
Yes.
And so the food sensitivity was really key to me starting to discover that I had leaky gut. And that was really one of the main causes of all my problems.
Yeah. I think that is all too common. It always goes back to the gut, right? Even with hormone imbalances, so often it's a gut problem. I don't know about you down in Atlanta, but up here, women are so estrogen dominant. They're like leading crazy, stressed out lives, trying to do it all, be it all, right? Too much on their plate. They're in this high cortisol state nonstop, and their estrogen's out of control. They have low progesterone like yourself, how you did. And it's so often, if they could just take some stock of their life and get control of that, they could get their periods back on track, get rid of the PMS and the headaches and the crazy irritability, right? So do you find that most women come seek you out for hormone imbalances?
A lot of them, yes. And I think that a lot of women recognize when they're having sex hormone imbalances because we have that great indicator of the fifth vital sign, our periods.
Yes.
And so we're lucky that way that we get an external indicator of when we have a sex hormone problem through our periods. But what I love is that that's why people come, but then I have the opportunity to educate them on usually their deeper problems. And so, like you mentioned, gut problems, in which gets to their cortisol hormone. So I have yet to see a woman without a cortisol problem. And that really is the larger issue than the sex hormones. Yes, sex hormones are an issue, but a lot of times they're unbalanced because you have a cortisol problem.
Exactly.
And, right. So then I can educate them on what's going on in their bodies.
Yeah. I love to say that sex hormones are like the innocent bystanders. They are getting affected because of something that's happening upstream, something else going on. And it usually has to do with being overstressed, not sleeping well, eating poorly, right? Did you revamp your diet totally when you went through this transformation, or were you already eating pretty healthy?
No, I completely revamped it. And really, after I did the food sensitivity test, I remember it so like it was yesterday. I got my test. I was appalled, which most people are, and very upset because my favorite foods I was sensitive to, which is very typical because foods we overeat. Our body wasn't made to eat the same foods every day. And I went home and I had a family meeting, and I said, this is the deal. I'm not eating out for the next 6 months because we ate out a lot. And I am going to follow a very strict diet. You are welcome to follow it with me, or you're welcome to prepare your own food. Luckily, my now ex-husband was the primary food preparer. I said, you're welcome to eat what I want eat or not. You can eat what you want. You can get takeout to a restaurant, or you can go to a restaurant. But I am eating at home. And this is the diet I'm following. And like, if you have cookies in the house, because that was a big problem for me, a sugar issue, you're going to have to keep them out of my sight. I don't want to see them.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of laid the law down, and that's how it was going to be, because I was so miserable. I thought about suicide often. That's how bad it was. And then I was so strict. I think I got 6 different cookbooks off Amazon about cooking for food sensitivities and allergies. And I got the biggest one. So I got like gluten and dairy free cooking. And then I would have to adjust just each recipe for me. Like I couldn't have almonds, cauliflower, peaches, blueberries, like all these weird things, sesame. And then I just altered the recipes. And then I would make 8 servings of a meal. I got a big freezer and I froze all the servings in there so I wouldn't have to cook every day. Which is a great tip that I use to tell my patients to do. I would have cooking day. So I would plan all the recipes, do the shopping, and do all the cooking like on a Sunday. And then I would have everything frozen throughout the week because I was OBGYN and I didn't have time to do this during the week. And then I would just have it all prepared. So I completely revamped my diet.
I love that. And I think that some women are scared of making such a big change, right? And they feel like there's nothing I'm going to be able to eat. How am I going to figure this out? So I love that you got through it and it was worth it, right? Like it was life-changing.
It was life-changing, but I will say I was in a state of shock for 2 weeks and I don't think I ate anything because I didn't know what to eat. And that's true when I give my patients their food sensitivity results. They're like, what? This is everything I've been eating. And so I was in shock, but then my mode is how I'm going to fix it, take charge of this. And you have to love yourself enough to believe that you deserve it and to inconvenience the people who live with you because they love you too. They want what's best for you. I have a lot of women who say, well, I don't, my kids don't like to eat that way. My husband doesn't like, but the truth is they're all going to benefit by eating a healthier plant-based modified paleo diet. And so you could be saving your children from future health problems and probably helping your partner from the health problems they have. And then a lot of times that's what happens when the woman says, okay, I'm doing this, get on board. And they get on board and then, oh, my husband's lost 30 pounds.
Yes, I hear that all the time. How unfair. I haven't even lost 10 and he's lost 30. But it's so true because the woman is in charge of the family. She makes most of the decisions of what they're going to eat and what the relationships are with food. I think that you can teach your children so much by doing this in a healthy way. So you are mostly plant-based now?
I try to be mostly plant-based, but I do eat meat, but I definitely have decreased my consumption of meat. We overconsume meat in America. And I do believe that we are carnivores, and I do think there's some utility for medicinal use of vegetable-only diets like vegan or vegetarian for certain people for certain periods of time. But yes, I'm an omnivore.
Yeah, I love it. I am as well. I think that we're made to eat meat, but we got to be clean about it, right? We need to know what our meat was eating before we eat it. I think that's so important. But you hit on such an important point when you were talking. You had the mindset that you were ready to make the change and you were just going to go do it. How do you get your patients to get to that point in their mind if they're not loving themselves, they're not feeling self-worthy? Because what I find is a lot of women don't think they deserve it. They don't want to take 10 minutes for themselves even,
Right. Well, I like to say that, my program is for people who want it, not for people who need it.
Okay.
So I'm not out there trying to convert people.
Because that's exhausting.
It's exhausting. I'm the one you come to when you've had enough. When you have had enough and you can't take one more day and you are ready to do whatever it takes to get better. And so I do self-select for those people who really want what I have to offer and want to do the work. And then, we have conversations like this and I tell them my experience because that's really what I can share with them as a woman who, went through this and I can share the experience of my other patients. But this really is a program for people who want it.
Yeah, it's so true that you have to be mentally ready. And that's what I really want women to understand is that you can't keep pouring from an empty cup, right? You deserve to take time for self-care. I know that's like the buzzword and it's going out of fashion, but it's a necessary thing. Like you physically have to give yourself time every day if you want to have any kind of sustainable, happy life. You know, being an OBGYN, that's not sustainable. Like I was burnt out 10 years into it. That's ridiculous. Like people are looking at me like I'm still young, and I felt like I was, almost 70. I was just spent. So I just love that you're focused on mindset and bringing that piece into it. I think women need to figure out why they want to get healthy and focus on that more than what they're giving up, or especially when you have food sensitivities you're getting rid of, right? And you're depriving yourself, quote unquote. I think it's important to focus on why you're doing it and what you're gaining. So you're gaining the ability to sleep at night, your weight loss, your freedom, your hormone balance, all of that fabulous stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that we've really been sold a bill of goods about what makes a good life, and we've gone unconscious to living an intentional life, and we've just bought into the lies that society has told us is that a good life is that, you have a great job with health insurance benefits and a 401k, and you drive fancy cars and have a nice house and go on great vacations, and you have these fabulous birthday parties with great invitations. And I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I thought that when everything externally looked right, that I would then be happy. But the truth is that all those things are like eating cotton candy for dinner. None of them are what your soul really wants and needs to live a happy and fulfilled life. What your soul wants is to express your unique gifts that only you can express in this world, that you came to this earth to express. What your soul wants is true intimate connection in your relationships. What your soul wants is beauty and peace and connection and expression. And none of that comes from any of the things that we've decided as a culture are important. And so part of it for me was really realizing that fact and really stepping back and reevaluating my whole life and all my values, and saying, and it was hard to do when I was having horrible health issues. I just wanted to get better, so I did the work. But over the years, like my life looks nothing like it did 10 years ago when I first started this journey, because I have really cut down to living my life in a way that is reflective of my true values and what really is important to me. And I think that when we get into those health problems, it's a larger call. It's a call to a larger life than we've been living.
Mm-hmm.
And so we think we're only deserving of what we have, and that we're supposed to extract all our well-being out of it. But like with the pandemic, right? Everybody all of a sudden has to stay home and can't do social activities. And I can't tell you the number of people who I've heard saying that, wow, I really got down to what's important in life. I didn't need to run around like a chicken with my head cut off doing all these activities. It has really gotten me clear on what my priorities are. And, people are moving to cities because they're saying, well, if I'm here, and they really realize, why am I in this city? I've always wanted to move to Sedona. I'm going to move to Sedona. And, my next adventure is I'm actually going to get a trailer and drive around the country and live in the trailer and see all the places that I've been saying I want to see on my bucket list. And I went to the sales place, and the guy's like, yeah, our business is booming. He says, everybody's saying the same thing. They're saying, why am I here chained to all these things?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really evaluating that and really, really getting down to what is your true worth in life, and that you do deserve to be healthy and vital and alive, just as healthy, vital, and alive at 50 and 60 and 70 as you were at 20 and 30.
Amen.
And then that means that, I don't think self-care will ever go out of style, because I think we talk about self-care like it's, mani-pedi and facial and
Right.
getting my hair done, which are great things. But true self-care is setting clear boundaries with your family about, what foods will and will not be in this house and how we're going to eat. And we're going to eat in a way that sustains us, because that's the primary function of eating.
Right.
And not perverting it, that it's all about pleasure. So that's true self-care. True self-care is staking out time for yourself and meditating and journaling and really knowing yourself and knowing what you want in your life, and going about the business of creating that.
Yeah. I think if they take anything away from this podcast today, that should be it. You got to get more mindful. You have to figure out why you're running around with, like chicken with your head cut off. It's just really ridiculous, the patterns that we get into. And it's like we pay for these fancy purses and cars and houses, and then we pay again in our health, right? So because we are too busy running around trying to pay the bills and do all the things for the stuff, that we don't take the time for ourselves. So we're like paying twice. It's not cool. And
then people will say, well, then I want to go to the regular doctor that's covered by my health insurance to get better. And then you say, oh no, there's this thing, functional medicine. I have yet to talk to a woman who didn't hear about it and say, I need that, I want that. But then when they find out they have to pay out of pocket, then it's another story. And it comes again back down to, what are you worth? And do you see expenses on your health or payments as expenses or investments?
yes.
And I see them as investments. I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in my health.
Right. And it's paid off, right?
Exactly. Because I only get this one house to live in.
Yeah.
I can't replace it once it's gone, and no amount of money will save me after a certain point. So.
Exactly. I mean, we spend thousands of dollars going to Starbucks and getting our toes done and all that other stuff. So I think it's all about your priorities and just getting a different mindset, shifting that a little bit. So important. So you now are seeing patients virtually 100%, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're working with women one-on-one. Do you do any group coaching or anything?
Yes, I have group programs that I do around weight loss, around menopause, and then people can graduate into a high-level group program where I have about 5 women and we work together, or I do offer one-on-one as well.
Okay. What would you say is the one thing someone should focus on to even get started to be more self-aware and improving their health? What would be one tip?
I mean, to be aware, I think journaling is an invaluable tool. To just start journaling what's going on, your feelings and thoughts every day. Not a journal of recording what happened, but how you feel, your feelings and your thoughts, I think, and your desires. I think that's invaluable to become aware. If someone were looking at what's the one change I could make to start me moving towards hormone balance and improving my health, it would be changing what they're eating. And I have a download called the Diet Deceptive Dozen, 12 foods flying under your radar that are keeping you overweight and tired, that they can download for free. And then there's a follow-up, the Lean 15, which are 15 foods you want to add to your diet. And these help with overall health as well, not just weight and energy.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's so important that we think of food, like you said, not for pleasure, but for nourishment and to sustain us. It's actually giving our body the fuel that we need to do the thousands of chemical functions every day, right? Like, I used to live on junk food and I would think, that donut's only 500 calories and then the Diet Coke, so I'm good because calories in, calories out, right? And we were just fed such a bill of goods. And unfortunately, some people are still living that way. They're still counting calories and they're not looking at the quality of what they're eating or why they're eating or how they're eating, right? Do you do any intermittent fasting?
Yeah, I do, but I like intermittent fasting as a tool. Okay, so I have to say that because, a lot of people hear about that something's good, a certain diet or way of eating or supplement, and then they want to use it that way forever for everyone. And that doesn't mean that. So it's a tool. It's not right for everyone at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I will do it, but more now I listen to my body. So I have restored the connection between my appetite and actually physically nourishing myself with food. So I listen to my body. Is it hungry? Is it not hungry? When I'm hungry, I eat. And when I'm full, I stop.
Yeah. It's amazing how much easier that is when you get rid of your sugar cravings, right? And you're eating healthy food. Because then it's actually, are you hungry? It's not those bad bacteria craving sugar and decepting you, right?
Right. Yes. Once you get everything cleaned out, you get rid of the artificial, the cravings, because you balance your hormones, and then you're not craving it because you truly need nourishment. You are craving it because you need nourishment.
Yeah.
You're not craving it because you want something else. Intermittent fasting I love as a tool, and so I'll sometimes do it, but like I said, I really listen to my body.
That's perfect. I think once you get freedom from food or processed junk food, it's just amazing. I mean, I used to work in an office with all women. You would always have candy, cookies, cake in the break room, bagels. Oh my gosh, like always. And that stuff would just talk to me all day long until I gave in, right? And till I completely revamped my diet like you did, and I could walk by that break room and it no longer talked to me. And that was so freeing. Like that alone was life-changing for me because I was no longer focused on that crap all day long. So it is possible. You just have to do the work and figure out the root cause of your problems, right? Why are you having these imbalances? So I would love for people to work with you because I just love what you're doing. You're doing amazing work. So where can they find you?
They can find me on my website. I'll spell it out because it's spelled a little differently. So it's Kyrin Dunston, MD, and it's KYRIN. Dunston is DUNSTONMD.com. They can also check me out on her Brilliant Health Revolution podcast and on my YouTube channel, Her Brilliant Health Secrets.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have those links in my show notes because I definitely want people to connect with you. So at the end of your podcast, you always ask people, what does Her Brilliant Health mean to them? So I want to know what it means to you.
Oh, gosh. Her Brilliant Health is bright, shiny, vibrant health freedom.
Love it.
That's probably what I would say.
Yeah, those are all wonderful things that we should all aspire to, right? That's great.
Yes.
Well, it's been so good talking to you, and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care. So that was a fabulous interview with Dr. Kyrin. I hope you got a ton of good stuff out of that. I know that you did. And I want you to take at least one piece of information, one golden nugget, and apply it to yourself. Maybe you're going to go get food sensitivity testing. Maybe you are going to really work on that mindset piece. Maybe you're going to go get some advanced hormone testing done. Whatever it is, I want you to know that the answers are out there. You can figure out how to reclaim your health and be the best woman that you were meant to be. There's a better version of all of us out there in the future, and we need to strive toward that because we have really important things to accomplish. And so we need to get our stuff figured out so we can be the best that we were meant to be. We got stuff to do. We got to figure this out, right, ladies? So check out Dr. Kyrin Dunston. I'll have the links in my show notes. And I would suggest that you work with someone like Dr. Kyrin or myself, a functional gynecologist who can help you order the appropriate tests and dial in what diet is right for you and what you should be doing to improve the other aspects of your life, like stress management and sleep hygiene and all that other stuff, how to move your body So reach out to us. We are here for you. This is our life's work, ladies. Shoot me a note over on Instagram or Facebook and tell me what you're doing to make these changes and how you're improving yourself. And if you have questions, shoot those to me too. I am here to help you. Now go out and have an amazing week. Bye.